Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll show you how to prime your miniatures using some surface primer from Vallejo and a brush. Most of the time we'll prime our models with probably an airbrush, certainly a spray paint rattle can, but we can also do it with a brush, and I don't see it coming up that much on YouTube, so I thought I'd do a quick video about it. And if you're anything like me and you live in the UK or an area where it rains a lot, you can't always get out in the garden to use the spray can, and it can be quite damp as well a lot of the time throughout the year. And sometimes I also just can't be bothered to set up my airbrush. So when I do like just a few models, maybe for a skirmish game, I'll use a brush, and then there's no fuss, no mess, it's done really quickly, and it dries fast too. So in this video I'll be taking this awesome Viking model, and this is thanks to Raybox Games. This is going to come from their new game, The Gates of Nilheim, and I'll be covering that a lot on the channel for the next few weeks, so look out for that. But I have put a video up already called Solo Vikings versus Zombies. That'll give you a good overview of the game and show off all the miniatures up close as well. So that's going to be linked at the end of this video if you'd like to check it out. But let's get started then. Let's grab our model. This one is 3D printed, and I'm going to be using the surface primer, German Panzer Grey, and then this is the finished product. So we're going to get a nice smooth coverage using this paint, and it's going to be really quick too. So here we are then, the German Panzer Grey 74.603, and on the back it tells us that we can apply this in light coats with our airbrush. But you can paint this straight on with a brush, and you don't have to water it down or thin it or anything. But the main thing is you do leave it 12 hours to dry and give it a really good shake before use. And I'm just going to grab a little palette here, add a few drops to my palette, and enough to do a good few models. And then I'm just going to get this old cheap brush. I really like it, soft bristles, holds a good amount of paint, and it's perfect for getting into all the recesses and coating miniatures with a prime like this. So I'm using a damp brush and then the paint straight from the bottle, and I'm just going to give a nice even coat all over, and I'm spreading it around, making sure it's not pooling anywhere because I don't want to lose any of the detail. But this is a nice thin paint, it covers really well, certainly sticks to the model well, and with a little help from the brush really goes into those recesses, and I'm almost just like stabbing at it really and pushing it around. I don't want any bubbles either, so just making sure that it's nice and even. Oh, you put a little bit of blue tack on, that doesn't happen, but I didn't on that occasion. Okay, we're back on the holder now, so I'm just going over, giving that a really good coat. It's surprising how quick it dries, but again, make sure you leave it that 12 hours as recommended on the bottle. I find when I do airbrush with this, it's really important to leave it that length of time before you start painting over it, and then it's going to like really set nicely and be a really good base for your model. Not just for the paint to stick to, it also gives it a little bit of protection as well. And then I'll just keep on going all the way around, really looking in there at different angles, make sure I'm giving it a nice coat all over, and this is what we're left with. And you can see all the details have been kept there. It's still wet, and we're just going to let that dry and then come back to it. And I'm going to bring it to life with a dry brush. I'll show you how I do the zenithal highlighting later on. And I've done all these models at the same time, so good to do it in a batch. And it didn't take long at all. So just sat in front of the computer, put a podcast on, and then off we go. We can get these painted really quick. And on this big Jarl model here, you can really see all the details have certainly been kept on the face. It hasn't affected it at all. So if you're worried about this paint going on too thick, you certainly don't have to worry about that. It's a nice thin paint and no reason why you can't brush it on like this. Here's the Valkyrie. Again, nice and crisp. Nice thin coat all over. This is just one coat of paint as well, and that's ready now. The next layers of base paints and all the other paints we're going to paint it with later on this week are going to stick to that, no problem. But I want to bring it to life with a highlight. So let's grab my favourite White Star 2 thin coats paint, add some of that to the palette, and then I'm going to take a very vegan makeup brush here, really soft bristles, nice big brush so it's going to cover a good area, and I'm going to work some paint into my bristles, and then I've started using these foam inserts I've got with some of my Moonstone models, and I'm just going to work the paint off on that, get a bit more in the bristles, and then just test it on my hand first to make sure that too much paint isn't going to come off. And then all I'm going to do is gently go around and just flick from the top of the model down, and I'm trying to catch all that awesome texture. And then once I'm happy with how much paint is coming off the brush, I'm going a little bit rougher, and a little bit quicker, and then once the white paint starts to dwindle away a little bit off the brush, I'll start doing circular motions and then just cover the whole model. I'll also go side to side sometimes, like on the cloak here, to catch the edges in the uppermost areas, trying not to get any in the recesses and the folds of that cloak. But this model is awesome. It's got so much texture to it. And when you get these models from Gates of Nilheim, they are going to come in one piece. You don't have to glue them or anything. So this is 3D printed as one piece, but they will be cast when you get them, much like they did with the other games that I've covered on the channel, Escape from Project Riese and Escape from Stalingrad Z. But here we are. I'm just keep on going now, really working it in there, trying to catch the areas that are going to get most of the light, and I'm being a bit rougher and going over them a little bit more. And you can see now, this really brings the model to life. I don't have to even do this because I'm going to be using layer paints and a traditional way of painting it later on. But I like doing this now. I've got into the habit of it, and I really like just the effect of it and how you can really see all the details on the model. And I went over with another pass of paint to really brighten it up. And look at that. That's really brought out all the metal work and all the details of the face especially, and the helmet there, and the beard. Look at that, that looks really cool. So very happy with this. In fact, let's grab another model. We'll get that Valkyrie, and you can see how it affects the wings there. I remember one of the first models I ever painted was the Corvus Cabal, and this wing texture really reminds me of that model. And you can't beat a good dry brush. I love seeing all the detail and the model coming to life when you add it to it. And I think it helps as well, because when you do paint it, even using the layer technique, it gives you a good indication of where all the details are. Everything really stands out. And, you know, if your eyesight's going a little bit, it's going to be really helpful, I think. And if you put contrast over this, I guess this is the slap chop method, right? We're pretty much there, but I'll be doing the traditional method. Now, I thought, while I've got the paint out and I've got some other models to do, I'd grab this metal model. This is from Bolt Action. This is Wojtek the Bear, and he comes with the Italy Tough Gut campaign book. But I just want to show you that you can use this same Vallejo paint, same brush, and you can paint over metal miniatures like this as well. And I really like doing this on the metal miniatures because you can really get it in all the texture. And models like this one with all this fur, it's surprising how much surface area there is when you take all that into account. And I actually prefer using a brush on models like this to really work it in. Sometimes on the metal models, you'd have to give another coat, and it's probably advisable to go through any model and just have a look and check it's completely coated it when it's dry, and then just touch up with another coat if need be. But you can see here on the metal one, that's one coat, and that's looking really good. There's a few little bits I can see there that I'll go over again, but otherwise, one coat is pretty much enough to do it. When I paint metal models, I go one step further, and I put a little bit of Technical Storm Shield, which is a matte varnish, over the primer, and then that just seals it in a bit, because those rough edges of the metal, if you bang it, sometimes it can chip away. So I find that Storm Shield just really seals it in nicely. And it's not a bad idea to do that on all your models once you finish painting either. You can use the brush on prime method with white as well. I've used Vallejo white surface primer here and brushed it on, and this is one of the models from Escape from Project Riese, and I've done those in like a comic book style, but I'm thinking I'm going to go back and do this main model, this monster one, in the traditional style later on, because it's so cool. And you can also use base Mechanica Standard Grey or any like good base paint, and that would work as a primer as well. And again, using that Storm Shield over a base primer helps to like protect the model too. And I actually used it on this model. I wanted to get it done quickly. I didn't want to wait too long for the primer to dry. And so I used the standard Mechanicus Grey, dry brush of white, and then within an hour or so of drying, I was ready to paint. But there we go. That's the Viking models from Gates of Nilheim, all primed, dry brushed and ready to paint. And I'm really looking forward to getting these models done and on the table. And I'll be taking you through the painting videos for pretty much all these models now over the next few weeks. And also later on, I'll be showing you how to play the game as well. But very exciting. These models are fantastic. Two of my favourite genres combined, Vikings and zombies in one game. And it's a solo game as well, Gates of Nilheim. So if you want to find out more about that, be awesome if you do. Hang around and check out that video at the end of this one. In the video, you'll see an overview of Gates of Nilheim. It will tell you what it's all about. You'll have a real close look at all the models. And then, yeah, it's the first video of this new little mini-series. And a big thanks to Raybox Games for collaborating with me on all their games. I've covered Project Riese already. We've got Arena Battles 1 to come later on, but it's Gates of Nilheim for the next few weeks. A big thanks to my sponsors and supporters for helping me to make these daily videos. There's links down below where you can find out more, make some great savings on some awesome hobby products, and a massive thank you to you for using those links. It really helps me here on the channel, and it's great to support these independent companies and creators. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful, and I can't tell the difference here from a spray can, an airbrush, or paint on with a brush. So yeah, really good. If you're in a pinch, want to get something done quick, it's a great way to do it, I think. But thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, it'd be awesome if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, leave some comments down below too, it'd be great to hear what you think, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me to keep going with these regular videos. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like to join the Patreon community, support the channel, get some great perks at the same time, there's a link down below in the description. It'll be awesome to see you there.